Okay, so as we were discussing, so we draw the line like that. So how to draw a line also is very vital, especially when you are very new to this. So the moment you are done with the line drawing, always write the equation right next to it. What was the equation? X1 is equal to 40. Yes, X1 equals to 40. Write it right next to it. Then let's go to the next equation, that is x1 and x2, 0, 25 and 25, 25. Let's focus on the 0, 1, 25. Where does it lie? 0 is for x1, so we are not going anywhere other than the x1. Here is the point. X2 is 25. Let's find out 25. 0, 2, here is the 25 point. So this point lies here. Make sense? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second point is 25 and 25. So in x-axis 25, because for x1 it says 25. Let's go to 25. Here is 25. Yes. Now x2 also 25. So 25 is this line. If you join these two lines, the point will come somewhere around here. Yes. If you join both the points that you got, the line should be like this. Always write the equation as I said. So x2 equals 25.
The line may be not be, Dheeraj, the horizontal line may not be joining, right? Because 25 is like before like 40, right?
Joining as in, I'm sorry.
Means there is an intersection happening, right? For x1 and x2 line. So the point is like lying at x25, sorry, x2 25. So which is like before 40. Before your x1 value equals to 40, right?
Yes. So are you saying we should stop the line R25?
Yeah, correct.
No, but why? Because these numbers that you have taken are random numbers. Yes.
These are the imaginary number, right?
Yes, yes. So your line will go forever.
If it is not getting crossed and we need the intersection point, so let's increase it, whatever the number is. But we need this intersection point.
So basically, Sami, remember that you will not do that. Yes. You will put the line as far as possible to the extreme end only. Let it be, let it intersect. That's not a problem. Yes, makes sense.
Okay.
Now let's go to the third one. X1 plus x2 equals to 150. Let's look at these coordinates 0, 1, 125. Can you tell me where does it lie? I'll give you two options. Option 1 here, option 2 here.
Horizontal.
You need at both points.
The first one or second one? No, I'm talking about only this coordinate. I'm talking about only this coordinate.
So first one wala we will put x1 we will put in horizontal line, no?
So
no,
this
vertical,
is 1.
Vertical.
So this is 1 and this is 2. No, let me number those. This is 1 and this is 2. Which one?
1.
X1 is 0, so 1 will go on x2 axis, means vertical axis. Yeah.
Perfect.
First point here.
1 only, right?
Here,
this one, right?
Yeah.
This one, right?
Here is the first point, yeah.
Perfect. And the other one, 150 and 0, it will be this one, right?
2.
This one, yeah, correct.
Perfect. Let's join these points. Yeah. So once you have done that, okay. Now that we have done it, one thing that we are forgetting is something. Can somebody tell something that we forgot? Something very important. Writing the equation. Never forget. That is really helpful going forward. Write the equation right next to the line. x1 plus x2 equal to 150. Whatever value. Yes. Now that we have done that, let's do the next step. The next step is to draw and find out the feasible area. The feasible area, how will you find out? This is the way. Okay, I'm telling you. If the equation is more than equal to 40, if the equation is more than equal to 40, more than equal to basically, your feasible region will be other side of the origin. Feasible region will be other side of the origin. What I mean to say is this. Your x is equal to 40 is which line? You have already mentioned this line, right? This line.
Correct.
Now, if it is more than equal to, your feasible region will be other side of origin. Origin is on which side? This side, right? Correct. So your feasible region will be this side.
Okay.
What did I say? If it is more than equal to, your feasible region will be other side. Is there an undo?
Yeah, of course, greater than means it should be greater than the 40 decimal point or whatever may be the point, right? So it's,
exactly. You have got it right. So your feasible region is somewhere around here for this line. Yes. Make sense? Now let's go to the next one. So x2 is more than equal to 25. So for more than equal to 25, similarly, as I said, if it is more than equal to, your feasible region will be other side of the origin. Yes. Now let's see, x2 is equal to 25 is this line. Yes. Origin is in which side? This side. So your feasible region will be in the other side. Make sense?
Correct.
So this side. Make sense? Yes. Any doubts?
But we will take this axis, whatever you have taken below 20, below 40, right? This vertical wala range.
Vertical wala range 40.
The very first red line. The very first red line you have drawn, right?
Yes.
This doesn't meet first condition, no? Which x2 is less than equal to 25, right?
I'll come there. We are now going individual equation by equation. Then we will club everything together. Yes. Now we want a region. You are very right. Yes. We want a region where all three conditions would satisfy. You are very right. Now what I'm doing is I'm going by one equation by equation. Then we'll find out which is that region where all three conditions satisfy. Make sense? Yeah. So what we found out now is first equation and second equation feasible regions. And I have drawn the lines. Let's go to the third one. As I was saying, if it is more than equal to, it is the opposite side of origin. Similarly, if it is less than equal to, which side it should be?
Close to origin.
The side of the origin. It should be the side of the origin. Let's see.
Left side. Towards origin.
Towards origin. Absolutely correct. Now, this line is this one. Yes. Now, this is less than equal to. So, this side is side of origin or other side. This side is side of the origin,
left
right?
side. Correct.
So, this is our feasible region if you are considering the third equation. Yes. Agrees everybody? Any doubts up until now?
No.
Now tell me the region in which all three conditions are.
Triangle,
Anybody?
Triangle.
Yes, exactly. So this basic triangle is satisfying all three conditions. So please follow this approach every time. There is nothing in it. If you go step by step, no, there is nothing in it. Makes sense, right? Everybody? Because any other region, if you see, no, either one condition is satisfying or two conditions, not all three.
Correct.
Yes. Now we need all three to satisfy. So this is our ultimate feasible region. Doubts, please. Any doubts? Anything to ask? Not a problem.
No.
Okay, fine.
Yep.
Awesome. Now, please do follow this every time that you have a question like this. That will make our job very easy. Once you have done that, next step is to find out the extreme points. Point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. So let's name these as A, B, and C. Yes? A, B, and C. Now we have to go to Excel. Yes. Now point number A, B, and C we have already. And C. Now for each of these points there has to be a x1 coordinate and x2 coordinate. Yes.
Correct.
Now how do we find that x1 coordinate and x2 coordinate? Can somebody tell me?
Just from the graph we can retrieve the value.
Do not do that. Never do that. Never do that.
Okay.
This one I do not agree with sir. Sir told to do that. Never do that. Always follow this approach. Okay, I'll tell you. Find out which equations are intersecting in that point. Now tell me in point A, which equations are intersecting? Can you tell? Already equations are written there.
x1 wala and
no, tell the whole thing. Tell the whole thing. X1 is equal to
40.
X1 is equal to 40, right?
Is equal to 40 and
the other
x1
one
plus x2 is equal to 150.
Perfect. Let me highlight those equations which we
So
just
basically it become 110.
You are right. So we told x1 is equal to 40. X1 is equal to 40 and another one was x1 plus x2 is equal to 150. To find out the coordinates of this point, solve these two equations. What I told?
40 and 110.
Yes. Everybody got it? 40 and 110? never do manually by looking at the pointers, because what happens is if the question is very easy, no, it will be right on the point. But if it lies between 2 points, it becomes very difficult to figure out what number it is. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So always go for
in X2 cell, can you write like 150 minus 40?
yeah. Either way, you'll be referring the video now.
No.
Not a problem.
The thing is, if we refer the Excel sheet, then we will be quickly able to understand the thing.
No. If we have that objective, I have to have a lot more content in the Excel sheet. So my objective is anytime you will be referring to Excel sheet, you have to have the video on hand. Yes.
Correct.
Otherwise, just alone Excel sheet is not enough, because we haven't written anything about the concepts here. We have just written the question and you're solving it. That's all. Anyways, yeah, not a problem. Let's go to the point number B. Can you tell me what are the values in point number B? Let me give you the platform and solve it yourself and tell me.
X1 is 40, X2 is 25.
Perfect. 40 and 25. Absolutely correct. Those are there only. The equations are only telling X1 is equal to 40, X2 is equal to 25. Yes? Any doubts, guys? No, right?
But here this, okay, X1, X2, 150, it's not applicable here. Got it.
Yeah, it's not. Because it only aligns those are.
That is for the third line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go to the C.
So we are taking only the dots, right? The point like where the B is lying. Only
the extreme points. Yes, only the extreme points. Absolutely.
Means to that dot, what are the equations are connected?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Now let's talk about C. Solve it to yourself and tell me what are the coordinates.
125 and 25.
Once more, please. Sorry.
125 and 25.
Anybody who doesn't agree with it or wants a clarification about this, you can solve it. Not a problem. Perfect. Everybody agrees with it? Any doubts? No. Okay. Awesome. Now, once you have written this, the next step is to find out the Z. What is it, Z? The profit. You have X1 and X2. You have the equation here. You know the equation here, right? 225 X1 and 200 X2. You can find out the profit, right?
Correct.
Very simple. X1 into 225 plus X2 into 200. Make sense? Yes?
Yeah.
Now I'll just copy that formula. It does it. Find out which one is maximum. Which one is maximum? This one is maximum, right? So this is our solution. So your solution line will be, you will be selling 125 coach tickets and 25 first class tickets to maximize your profit, which is coming to 33,125. This is the beauty of LPV problem. In a complex situation like this, it will give you the exact number of units that you have to sell to maximize your profit, or other way around to minimize your cost. Make sense? Any doubts, guys?
No.
Okay.
It will take good amount of time. How many questions we will get in one term?
Sorry, please, once more.
How many questions we will get like this? It requires good amount of time.
I think only one question. No, it will not take much time. Seriously, once you practice a 1-2 questions by yourself, no, it is nothing, to be honest. I'm telling you, graphical method is one of the simplest methods of solving LPV. That is another method called simplex method, okay? That is one of the complicated questions ever. So that takes around 1 hour, 1.5 hours per question to solve. But that has its own beauty. So that is not there for us in our course. But graphical is one of the simplest ones. If you practice a little, 2-3 questions at least, it is very less time consuming. It won't take much time. Just that this process is new to you, so you might be getting familiar with it now. But as I was saying, 2-3 questions if you practice by yourself, that should be good to go with. Yeah. So let's do one thing. If no other doubts, let's find out the objective function and constraint functions for one question, and we'll end there. And next time around, we'll be connecting. We'll solve one more question of LPV. A few more questions also together we will solve. Not a problem. Yes?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's read out this question. It reads, an ice cream company has 2 units, A and B, which produces 3 different types of ice creams. Please be very careful, I would say, because this is the most important part, because rest of it is, only steps. If you remember the steps, those calculations you do and the steps you do, draw the graph, everything is mathematical and nothing else is there. Here only the challenge lies, because you have to understand the question and find out among those lines only those equations are there. Yes. So two units A and B, which produces three different types of ice creams, cone, cup, and loose. The company has to supply 12, 8, and 24. The moment number comes, my question to you, is it a objective? Is it a constraint?
Constraint.
Why? How did you figure out? Which exact word?
This is the rule again. They are saying like minimum this much has to be like.
Yes, it cannot be less than 12. It cannot be less than 8. It cannot be less than 25. Any doubts, guys, on that?
It can be greater, but it can't be less than this.
Yes, exactly. So the moment you have a limit like that, it is a constraint now. It is not objective. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Gallons of cone, cup, and loose respectively per week. Cost to run unit A and B is 1,000 and 800 respectively. Can you tell, is it objective or constraint?
Yes. It's an objective.
It is an objective.
No, nothing,
because,
no.
Sorry, come
No,
again.
why is it objective? Objective
Because,
is to find out
please.
What we need to find out, that's the objective, right?
No. I'm telling you. Do you think the 1,800 is a minimum or a maximum? Are they telling that? No, right?
It
so
can be increased.
If it is not a constraint, it has to be objective. Just go like that. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, in the last line also it will add more value to this what we are discussing. It will actually point to this sentence only. We'll go there and you will be getting more clarity there for sure. Yes. Now, next sentence says on a day, unit A produces 6,214 gallons and unit B produces 2,212 gallons of cone, cup, and loose. Is this a constraint?
Again, constraint.
Why it is a constraint?
They are saying again.
Because it again talk about the limited capacity, right?
Yes. Can you produce?
It has a condition.
Yes, you cannot produce more than 6. You cannot produce more than 2 because it says on a day only this much you can produce. 6, 2, and 4, 2, 2, and 12. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
but
again
sir said it can be more, right? It can be greater than 6 or equal to 6 because there might be defective product. If you remember, like sir mentioned, like there might be defective product. It's not like everyone will be not be like producing the equal amount. If they say 6, it's not like always 6. It might be 7, it might be 8, but not less than 6.
No. 1 second.
That's for different.
Different question.
Yes. It's it's more than they produce more than what they are supposed to supply.
Yeah.
That's why sir said that is sometimes there can be a defective product. So this example that cone is 12, maybe the outcome of the calculation is 14.
Yeah.
So that's what Sakti was asking, why they are producing more. That's for that question.
Yeah.
Correct.
So Sami, this is not that question. This is not that scenario for sure. Because very clearly it says on a day, unit A produces 6,214 gallons of unit and unit B produces this of this product. Very clearly.
Again, I have a same question like Sami. So basically, while we will be putting this function, right, it has to be either equal to less than equal to or more than equal to. So how we will do this, that whether it is less than equal to or more than equal
to? Are you asking me? Are you asking Sami? Or is this a general question?
No, I'm asking you only.
Okay. I'm sorry. So we'll go there. Once we start writing the function, I'll take it up. Not a problem. At least we figure out that this is a constraint function, right? Not objective.
Okay.
Is that okay? Yes.
Okay.
Now let's put up the information that is given to us in a tabular format so that we know the values. Yes. So the products are cone, cup, and loose. So can you tell me?
Okay, I put it in different.
That is unit A. Let me put another information also. Unit A and unit B. Unit A and unit B. Can you tell me what is the cost for unit A and cost for unit B?
I put it in a different horizontal and vertical. It's fine, right?
Anyway, it's fine. Anyway, just to summarize the information, we are doing it. That's all.
Yeah, 1,800.
1,800. Perfect. Now, what is the cone units for unit A? Can you tell me?
12,824.
No, I'm telling you specific one.
Okay. Yeah, 624.
No. I'm telling you specific. Cone for
12.
unit A. Can you tell me?
12, 8, 24.
No. Cone
No,
used in unit A.
6.
Company has to supply.
6 is the correct answer.
6.
Everybody got
Yeah.
it? Yes. Cup used in the unit A.
2.
2 is perfect. Blues used in the
4.
unit A.
Yeah,
4.
6
4,
to
right?
4.
You got it, right?
2 to 12.
Same thing is there. I just asked it in a different way. That's all. So 2 to 12. Exactly in the similar way. Same information is there. I'm just putting it in a tabular format. That's all. Now, what is the total? What is the minimum?
A plus B. A plus B equals to, we need to write one more like below unit A and unit B. Unit A plus unit B, which is 12, 8, 24.
One second. And let me ask you the question. How much of cone you have to supply?
12.
That's
right?
the objective function, right?
No, that is not objective.
No, 12. There is a constraint.
12, 8, 24.
12, 8, and 24. So, I mean, you have to read between the lines to understand what is happening, to be honest. Drawing the table also demands that understanding of the paragraph. That's why I was saying, be very attentive while reading the paragraph so that you know what exactly is happening, where it is happening. Now, we have all the information in front of us. Yes, we have discussed what is the constraint and what is the objective function. Now, let me go and see what is they are asking for. They are asking for how many days per week should each unit be operated in order to meet the requirement at optimal cost. So number of days the units will be operated. That's what is the question, right? Now, say
Minimum.
So
Here it's
this
minimal.
line,
Minimal,
how we will. Sorry, Sami, go ahead.
minimal cost. Here it says optimal cost means minimum. We are not doing any maximization calculation here. Minimization problem.
Yes, let me just put up the variables first. So we have, suppose days, we are assuming x1 number of days for unit A, x2 number of days for unit B. Yes, what I said was x1 number of days for unit A, x2 number of days for unit B. Yes. Now, my question to you is this. Now, I'll be asking the question and we'll be forming the equations and we'll be deciding whether it's a constraint, whether it will be less than equal to or more than equal to, we'll be deciding together. Yes. Now, tell me how many cones can you produce in these many days? I'll ask you once more. How many cones can you produce in these many days?
It says per week we can produce 12, 8, and 24.
No,
7
This
days.
is the
7
target,
days.
right? We may produce more also, but this is what the target we need to produce, right?
Sami, one recommendation: do not look at the paragraph anymore. Once we have the information in the table, look at the table, because we simplified the data. Now, if you go back to the table paragraph once more, it will just confuse you. That's all. Now, look at the table and tell me, you have x1 number of days unit A is operating, x2 number of days unit B is operating. What I am asking you is how many cones will you produce? That's all.
Six x1 into 6 plus x2 into 2.
Perfect. 6x1 plus 2x2. Make sense?
Yeah.
This should be something. We'll be deciding that. Before I go there, did everybody get it? Why we did this? This 6 and 2 number, 6 and 2 was per day production. As it was saying very clearly, on a day unit A produces this much, on a day unit B produces this much. We have the number of days now. Obviously, if we are producing 6 cones or in unit A and unit A is operating for x1 days, then total cones will be 6 into x1, right? Everybody agrees? Any doubts? Yes.
I think we are clear.
Yeah. Now, this value that we got, that is 6x1 and 6 2x2 is what? The number of cones that we are producing. Now, in the first sentence, which we have written 12, 8, and 24, what is this? This much company has to supply, right? That means whatever we produce, it has to be more than 12. Make sense? It cannot be less than 12. The sentence says, if you focus on it, the company has to supply 12, 8, and 24 gallons of cone, cup, and loose respectively per week. Yes. Now that means whatever we produce, it has to be more than 12 so that we can supply, isn't it?
Yeah.
It cannot be less than 12. So it has to be more than
greater than equal to
12.
12.
And any doubts in this? In more than equal to?
No, there is.
Okay. Now my next question to you is, how many cups will you produce?
2x1 plus 2x2.
Perfect. And what is the constraint for it?
8.
It should be more
8.
than equal to 8. Perfect.
8.
Same thing for loose. Can you tell me how much it should be?
4x1 plus 12x2
Perfect.
greater than or equal to 24.
Now always refer to the table. It becomes very easy to write down these constraint functions. Yes. Now can you tell me one more thing? What is the, now we know cost 1,800, right? And clearly it is given cost to run unit A and B is 1,800 respectively, and this is per day. Okay, this is, you assume that it is per day. I'm giving you the information that it is per day only. Now you have 1,000 per day cost for unit A, and your number of days operating unit A is x1. How much is the cost that you are incurring for unit A?
1000.
1,000. That's all.
No, it should be 1000 into x1, right?
Perfect. 1,000 x1. What is the cost for unit B? Similarly,
800 into x2.
perfect. So 1,000 x1 plus 800 x2 is your total cost. Am I right?
Correct.
Now, if you look at the last sentence, the project manager need to decide how many days per week each unit operated to meet the requirement at optimal cost. When you talk about optimal cost, should it be minimum? Should it be maximum?
Minimum.
Everybody agrees. So wherever cost is there, you have to minimize the Z value. So as I was saying, always write in this format, minimize cost, that is Z is equal to 1,000 x1 plus 800 x2, and your constraint functions are these. Now this part,
what is the role of 12, 8, 24?
12, 8, 24 are here, no? Can you see this?
Okay, that's good.
Every value is used. Every value is used. So what I was saying was, this finding out the objective function and constraint function is so important. I'm telling you, in CA exams, they put 5 marks questions just to find out objective function and constraint functions. Forget about solving. Just finding out the objective function and constraint functions is also very important. So this is very important. I was saying we will be solving this question in the next time we meet, as we are almost done with today's time. We'll be also solving few other questions in a similar fashion. If you have some time, please do practice and solve these questions. Other questions which are given by Shah also you can try. And if you have any doubts, please let me know.
Sure. I think you had made it very simplified way to understand us about this problem.
Yeah, I mean, what happens is that if somebody who is introducing this kind of topics with the first time to a group, and they skip certain steps in between, that's what creates the problem. So if you don't tell how to plot the graph, and many people of us in our group may not be familiar with it. We know we had it in our 9th and 10th, but it's been so long. Obviously, we must have forgotten. And how to figure out the coordinates, right? And then those steps, particular steps. We have to be very clear.
What's the problem with me? He was just simply showing the graph. I was not having clue how it has been drawn.
I know very well what you're talking about.
And then asking, guys, did you get it? Ask me when I'm not having any clue. What will I ask?
I know. No, that's because of the time constraint only. He has to finish the whole slide today. That's what he is focusing on. What can we do? That's the challenge only.
Understand.
Yeah.
Dheeraj, could you do a favor? Could you share this Excel sheet?
Yes, I will do that. I will share.
Or you can put just a Google Drive. Now we can keep using this sheet only.
Yes, I can also do
Enough.
that. And anything is fine. I can do any of those. Not a problem. Google Drive also is fine. This one is also
Yeah,
fine.
Google Drive is fine
recommend,
because
I would recommend not having it in Google Drive because somebody else will change it and unnecessarily.
no. You put it in a view mode. You put it on a view
view
mode
mode
only.
would be, yeah, you're right. View mode should be.
Yeah, because no one wants to change anything over here.
Perfect. So I'll do that. Yes, sure.
Yeah, because otherwise what happens now? Last time I lost couple of Excels and all, right?
Okay.
But anyhow, we can refer the latest one. That's
yes.
another thing.
Sure.
Okay. So I got dropped in between. So I understood until this equation what you have selected right now. Anything we covered after this?
No, nothing else. That's all.
Okay. So looks like we have created this table, but how will we put it into our management language? That what he is referring, right? English.
Yeah.
That how we will put it into a step, right?
Yeah.
There is some step, right? 3-4 steps to follow.
So
how we will convert into that?
Do you mean to say converting these equations into language?
No, there is a process, right? A standard format we need to follow, or it, while we are solving the problem,
or
no, sir was saying that the quantifying this justification for this.
No, justification is fine. That is the conclusion part. So let's say for the last equation, what we have done, we can say okay, combination 3, x1 of these many unit and x2 of these many unit gives us the maximum profit. So that one liner will be the conclusion, that management English, right?
Yes.
But there is a standard format to solve the problem, right? Or we can go ahead with this raw table and then
go like this only. Go like this only. You write down the maximization, minimization objective function first, then constraint functions. Then you write down the coordinates like this. Okay. Then you write down the simplification of the question. That is the table. Go for it. It is always recommended.
Okay. So basically, we don't need to follow any other. If we are putting this way only.
Exactly.
It's good enough. Huh?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. After these tables, you draw the graph, right? After the graph, you have this table where you are calculating the profit. Then you are writing that conclusion statement. That's all. That is
okay. And similarly, like how we will draw the graph on just handwritten graph only, right? The mark presentation.
Honestly, I'm not sure about it as of now. So let's give one exam for the midsem. So first exam, whatever we have, let's see whether we still have the options of handwriting or not. If handwriting is there, then that's good actually. Putting up a graph is easy in that way. So if it is through a system, I'll have to figure out how to do it, right? And we have to figure out how to do it, to be honest. So that is there. I'm honestly not sure how the exam is to be. Because there is no clarification about it anywhere. So
correct. Just see, otherwise you will go manually draw only in Excel. What else we can do?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
This is really helpful, Dheeraj.
No problem.
When do we have this exam? DM? This
week
or next week?
I'm not sure.
DM is 4th. I don't know. It's last, like the 5th, I believe.
Okay.
5th or 5th.
We have time.
Yeah, 5th position.
5th means 3rd week.
Yeah, last